Oh, hello there, guys. Sorry about the slight wait there. Computer decided to randomly want to restart after an update, which is great. So, apologies for being a couple of minutes late. Hope everybody is well. Good morning, Denise. Give it a couple of minutes as usual. Get everyone to jump in. Let me just see if everything's working correctly. Audio on the right microphone. Great. All right, let's get some banners involved. Get a little bit of music in the background so you can have to listen to just my voice. Pop that down a little bit. There we go. Cool. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Vincent. I'm doing very well, thank you. Oh, great news, Denise. Very, very happy for you. That's incredible news. Absolutely incredible news. Give it a couple more minutes before we get going. As always, guys, whatever charts you're trading, let me know. We're going to go over a few today. It's a bit light in terms of high impact data this week. So catalysts for drivers are a little bit few and far between. Obviously, we did have some retail sales out today, and the dollar did see a slight bump because of it. Don't know how that's shaping up now. To be honest, I've been very focused on gold. I've been long gold this week, and that's obviously paid sort of dividends today. We've had a nice sort of jump up in gold. So I was going to discuss gold a little bit. We've got, what else did we get? We got some CPI out of Canada today. We had some RBA meeting minutes. I'm actually was researching RBA meeting minutes before my computer decided to do a restart, just to see if there's anything in there about hiking rates. I've got a pretty strong belief that we could see another hike from the RBA coming up, and it's all really going to depend on this employment data at the end of the week. So I just wanted to see if there's anything in those notes. Board considered holding rates steady or hiking by 25 points. Strong case for both. Board judged arguments for holding steady were stronger. Okay, so the RBA want to hold rates by the sounds of things. Board agreed some further tightening may be required, would consider at August meeting. Yeah, I would like to see the growth in the employment to be the catalyst that might just drive that home for the RBA. Australian dollar's been pretty strong recently. Was looking to see if there was any kind of opportunities surrounding that, but I do like Aussie US dollar the most. I think anything against the dollar at the minute is pretty good. Dollar performing pretty poorly, so yeah, be interesting to see if that can continue. Considering we do have some housing sort of stats coming up. If that is that high impact, I don't believe it is, but the markets or the Forex calendar at least seeing it as high impact. Of course, core retail sales obviously came in lower than previous, 0.2%. They were expected to come in a little bit hotter. So, that again kind of puts a little bit of a dampening mood on the potential for rates to go higher. So, yeah, it looks like we might not see the Fed go again. UK CPI tomorrow will be interesting. Still very high, 8.2% annually, potentially still. So still very high there. So Vincent was looking for gold at 1940, but didn't get it. Yeah, that's pretty much 1940. I was in a lot higher than that. I was in around 1948 was my point of interest. So we'll go over gold. Now we can take a top-down analysis view. We can have a little look at the weekly chart. We've been discussing this for the past couple of weeks as well. We really like the fact that we started to see this slow down in that sort of bearish trend coming into that 1890 level. We then started to see a little bit of a bounce, and it was this week here where I said I really want to see this week try and push higher. I think this was an important week to see quite a strong bullish close. It could be the catalyst that leads gold up into the $2,000 area again, whether it be the 2024 around these opens and closes, or whether it goes all the way back up to the 2075. I think this could be the start of that potential move happening, especially because we've broken this sort of trend line resistance as well. So, you know, I do quite like to use trend lines in a bit of a different way. I like to use them not necessarily as supporting points, because I think, you know, as support, it can be very, unless it's very obvious, like this one through here, for instance. But I do like to use them against the trend, because when that breaks, then that can often lead to a trend reversal situation. So that would be the case of this move in here. You basically use your trend line as you would, connect the highs up, especially if we go to a daily time frame, connect the highs up. As soon as we break that, there is a potential for price to change trend. It's not always a guarantee, obviously, but that's kind of followed through. We kind of had multiple confluences around that 1890 handle. Obviously had some buying coming in. We can see some dojis down here, or some at least some longer wicks down at this area, down at that support zone. So horizontal support, trend line support, break of trend line resistance was already pointed in the direction for us, wasn't it? Including that dollar weakness. Now, last week we had that push up, like I said. Now, I do like to use the weekly as my kind of my base point whenever I'm looking at a chart, because I like to follow the path of that weekly market trend. And to me, although we're in an overall range, this market is technically in a bullish weekly trend. I was looking for the area for it to turn around. We've started to have that turnaround now. Last week's close was almost like my my reasoning behind looking for longs going into this week. Now, if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, there was a bit of an interesting area, and I talk about this for some time now. There are potentials for us to be on TradingView coming up, so I'm going to be looking forward to getting on TradingView, because I'll be able to show you some volume profile stuff in live streams, which I think would be pretty helpful to people. So there is a potential for us to be on TradingView. I don't know timelines of that yet, so I apologize. I can't give you a time on that, but I have been speaking to people in the background. Hopefully we can get TradingView approval on our side, and we can work with them. But it's been a big thing that a lot of our traders and clients have asked for, so we are listening to that. Just wanted to give you a heads up that that is a potential to happen. We're just waiting for all the dots, I suppose, cross the I's, cross the T's, or dot the I's is the saying, I guess, before we can get that TradingView. And it would be a big help, because the reason I'm saying that is, if I just bring up a pen tool here, I was watching this area. So let me bring up the pen tool. Here we go. Ignore that update. Nobody likes updates. So in terms of a volume profile, right, you would have had, let me just bring on the, I don't know whether this would help, but let's bring on the period separators as well. Okay, so in terms of a weekly volume profile, right, it would kind of look like you've got volumes at the top here. Okay, so it kind of builds from here if you were kind of like mapping that area. there'd be very low volume there, okay, and then it would peak a little bit here and then sort of down in that kind of area there, right? So what I was looking at was almost this sort of low volume area in here, okay, and you can kind of see it within the candlesticks, right? So to kind of see it from a candlestick point of view, if I was just to get rid of, if I was to make this chart blank, let's get rid of everything off of here. What you'll see is you'll see kind of like a large move to the upside, perhaps, okay, and then the market starts going sideways. It starts consolidating. That means that the market has kind of found fair value, right? This area of low volume, right, is the market doesn't really regard this as fair value. Price can move very quickly between these 2 points, right? And there's been moments in the past where I've shown you where there's been a large move in the news event, let's say there's a gap, or not necessarily a gap, but like a large impulsive move in the market. And we've discussed that if price broke back below it, it could go all the way down to the sort of previous area because it's low volume, right? The market can sometimes retrace through that point. Now, here, there was a pocket of low volume that I was watching, and I wanted to see if it was acting as support. So price came back to it numerous times. You can see this kind of dropped down into it here. There was a spike into it just around through here. And then we actually breached it. So this was the area where I was kind of interested in what was going on in gold, because we breached into the area. Now, one or two things is going to happen. Price is going to come down to the other area, okay, where volumes would then kick in again, or it was going to fake out, which is exactly what it did in the end. So that fake out really was the clue for me to start looking to position into longs. Now, I had a couple of different orders on this. I had a limit order on that low volume pocket because my stop loss can be down in at this area here, for instance, or it could be at the other volume area. And then I had a buy stop order through here. So price double whammied, rallied to the upside today, and I've only recently closed one of the positions out. I've got another position running at the moment in the background. But yeah, liking gold prices to the upside, basically. The dollar is weak at the moment. If we head over to the dollar index and let's zoom out a little bit, you can see that there is a weakness there. Oh, the dog's going to go mad. Guys, give me 2 seconds. Apologies, guys. Dog was going a bit mad then. So yeah, dollar was on the way down. It's weak, so I want to be taking advantage of that dollar weakness in the market. Okay, down to that $99 area. Does that make sense, guys? Right, what I'm going to do is change the view, actually. Hopefully that's a bit better. Hi, Rago. Okay, so moving on to euro US dollar, because if we're trying to follow that dollar weakness, you know, it makes sense to start looking at euro dollar, especially if we're taking in consideration dollar index may move down to 99. Now, obviously, like we've just been discussing, I like gold further upside there. I mean, there's nothing we can really do about this one right now, apart from wait to see if price starts to retrace, maybe back down into this little pocket in here, this consolidation zone. Maybe we find some support in and around there. But gold, we can just sit and wait for now and watch to see how that one's kind of plays out. We are coming into a little bit of resistance around this 1980 level, so that's why I've closed one of my positions out, is because we're at resistance. But if we can clear through this area through here as well, it'll be good to see if price can continue to trade to the upside. Same with euro. I do quite like the opportunity for euro. Now, we don't really have any euro catalysts coming up this week. I don't know about the medium impact events. Let me just change it. So coming up for you, nothing, absolutely nothing for euro until I guess next week, where we've got flash manufacturing PMIs, French services PMIs. So yeah, loads of data coming out of Europe next week, including a interest rate decision. So euro, I think for me, is pretty strong. The ECB have been pretty aggressive in terms of saying that they want to hike rates further. We've broken through these key highs here at the 1.1075. We're above this sort of area of resistance as well. So I think price could be heading towards the 114.75. It's just, how is it going to get there? How can we potentially look for a move? Very similar to gold at the moment. We're starting to kind of build in and around this area here, aren't we? We've got this kind of consolidation going on. So, I mean, that is the kind of only area I think, this sort of $1,200 level is the only area at the moment where I think could hold as a little bit of support. Again, let me just delete these a little bit just to bring your attention to that. So it's around about 1,200. This area in there. Let's give that a price label. I think anything in that sort of vicinity there may be interesting for longs. And very, like I said about gold, if we could get maybe, let me just bring this over a little bit as well. Maybe if we could get like a false breakdown of this level, so a close below, close back above, you know, that could be interesting for buyers to start getting back involved with this. If we don't get that, then price may just continue to sort of work its way within. Then we could look for maybe a break and retest kind of opportunity on euro dollar. But I do like euro strength at the minute. I like the idea of being long. And again, you can kind of see why. You know, look at that breakout that we had of that counter trend line there. Now, typically after a run like this, I'd be very cautious about getting involved, right? Because when price just goes on an aggressive run, we can often see sort of retracements before moves higher. So, you know, getting aggressive here at the 112 may not be the option of most traders, but at the minute, I just don't see where that dollar is going to go apart from down at the minute. There's no real kind of like, you know, options there. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get a pullback into that level, see if we get any kind of rejections, and if we do, can we try and see buyers stepping back into this market. Any guys, what are you guys trading? Let me know. Dollar CAD. Took dollar CAD off the charts, to be honest, I think. Unless it's there somewhere and I'm blind. No, I think I took it off. Let's have a look. I mean, again, I like the CAD weakness play, if I'm honest. But against the dollar, all I see is this. At the moment, 31, 131, maybe 131.25. 131 being. Yeah, I'll be generous. I'll give it the 131.25, I think. Just that zone in there, right? Dollar CAD to the downside, okay. I mean, I kind of like it. We've just had the CAD data, haven't we? CPI has come down to 0.1%. Median CPI has only come down to 3.9, so it's still holding up there, isn't it? So yeah, I do like CAD in general, but I have been looking at it on the weak side more than anything. That looks a bit choppy down there for me. I need to see some kind of breakouts, I think. Let's just check there's no long-term sort of trend lines running through these areas. Again, trend lines like this, I think, can be super kind of, you know, hard to predict. So I was hoping to see Euro pull back to 1.18. Okay, what's the Euro CAD? Let me just have a little look at Euro CAD. Right. I did quite like Euro CAD, to be honest, as well. We are coming down into a little bit of a supporting area here at the 147.90s. We've kind of got this kind of block area here. And the reason why I was interested in Euro CAD was because I was actually long in this market at one point. You can see that we've got this nice trend coming up. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see that we've been pretty bullish on this weekly chart. And like I said, I wanted to be a buyer of Euro, seller of CAD because of strength and sort of weakness. And this 1.5 area was something of interest for me. You can see it kind of spans across the whole area there. There's a little bit of a zone. We've got sort of support, resistance, resistance, resistance. So I was looking to kind of see if we could target in and around that point. Looking for a pullback first is not a bad idea on this market, though, because it has increased quite significantly. Very similar to a lot of the markets last week. Had quite an aggressive move higher. And we are very, very close to that resistance zone. So you can see this is what I'm talking about, that kind of daily doji there. Ideally, I would like to see price come back lower. Again, you've got kind of a shelf through here around about the 146.34s, maybe even the 147s. But I'm just eyeing it up to see how it reacts here on this 4-hour time frame, maybe even hourly time frame. Just going to see, because we've got the 20 and 50 in line as well. Is it going to be another one of those points like I was making earlier? Is it going to false break a bit of a low there and start pushing back in time with that sort of Euro strength? I know, Denise, you said you're in a Euro CAD sell, so I assume you're kind of in around these highs here. Yeah. But the markets are like as well. We could, I mean, could we look at Euro Oz? I do like Euro. I like Oz strength though. So maybe Euro Oz isn't the one to be watching at this moment in time. Yeah, look at that. Straight away, I've gone onto it. And we're pretty much sideways at the moment. Unless price breaches the 164.55 handle. Weekly just flagging a little bit. I do have Euros here. I don't know why have I just opened a new chart. We've already done analysis on Euros. Yeah, we're still flagging at the 165 at the moment. So yeah, no real momentum on that one. 50 pips in profit, set to break even. Awesome. Love to hear that. So yeah, probably short in and around there, right? Yeah, back at those highs, those extreme highs. Very nice indeed. We'll see how that one plays out. You know, if we get the break of that low here, you can see it come much lower there, which would be nice. But like I said, let's go back to Aussie. I do have a bit of a sort of build up of what could potentially happen to the Australian dollar. Like I said, the inflation rate in Australia is up at around about 7% at the moment. If I just go over to trading economics, I can build that in. Australia, here we go. So yeah, inflation rate is at 7% at the moment. And, you know, they want to try and bring that inflation rate down. It has technically come down from 7.8% down to 7%. Last week we performed pretty well. We had a bit of that sort of risk on play, didn't we? And the Australian dollar performed pretty well with regards to that. And yeah, so it's a quite interesting market at the moment. I think the RBA, although they're holding rates at the 4.1%, I do think that there's an opportunity for them to go again. And I think it's all going to depend on the employment figures coming up at the end of the week. Now, Aussie employment change is predicted to go lower. So a move from the 75.9 down to the 15.4s. And then an unemployment rate to sort of stay the same. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen with the Australian dollar here. I think if we get a jump in that employment change, a jump in any kind of employment figures there, could start to put a bit of pressure on the RBA to start hiking rates by 25 basis points at least again in the next meeting in August. That could then, you know, we could see Aussie then just go on a little bit of a run. Now, through the month of August, I don't think the Australian dollar performs pretty well. I think New Zealand dollar is the worst performing currency through August. So Aussie's, I think, second or third behind that. So we do have to take into consideration there might be some seasonals in play. But nice strong weekly candlestick in here. You know, whenever I see a move like that, I want to be looking to see if that will extend into the next levels of resistance. We've got the 0.69 handle, the 0.7 handle, which could be those to watch coming up. So I do quite like those opportunities there. If I was just to flick over to the daily chart at the moment, and price is doing what I would particularly like to see, whereas we're getting that pullback, but we're not getting an aggressive pullback. Sellers are not really driving price back to the downside. Now, would I have loved price to come back here? You know, absolutely, because I know there's a big chunk of volume through there, massive volume level that I would be looking to see price sort of bounce off of. However, you know, we are at another technical level of the 0.68, and price is just holding up there at this moment in time. So what we could argue is the fact that buyers are starting to step in around about this 0.68. There is potential for the RBA to hike again. We've got a weak dollar at the moment. Could Aussie US dollar be up at the 0.69 or even up at the 0.7s in the next couple of weeks? There's a good potential for that from a fundamental and technical perspective. So I think chart to sort of watch for me this week has definitely been the Australian dollar versus the US dollar. And whether that does continue it was kind of another base point for me. I'll kind of look at gold as well. And, if I'm looking at gold going long, it's one or two sort of ways we can look at that. Gold's either going to go long from a risk perspective, or we're going to see that dollar weakness, and that could go into the flow of Australian dollar as well. Hi to Sharon. Hope you're well. I was long gold for a bit, took profit, and I'm out now. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Same here, to be honest. I've got one position just running in the background. Vincent wants to take a look at Aussie Kiwi, so let's take a look at that one. I can't stay around for too long today, guys, unfortunately, but I will check out Aussie Kiwi, and then we'll probably call it there until Thursday. Aussie Kiwi, interesting market, I guess. Let's have a little look. So, weekly chart. Okay, I can kind of see what you're looking at. We're breaking through those weekly highs at the minute, previous weekly highs. We've come back down into this low area. There's 1.07 sort of 20 area in and around that point. That would be a nice sort of area, I guess. We look left. Let's just move this box down here. Yeah, we've almost double bottomed. I don't know what this is doing here. So let's grab that high there. Grab that high there. So we've kind of broken out of that trend line resistance, broken out of this trend line resistance as well. There may be some catalyst for Aussie Kiwi to step higher. Again, like I said, I like Aussie, to be honest. Kiwi becoming weak in August seasonally could be a spin on this where we say, yep, okay, Aussie Kiwi could be traveling back higher. I don't know why I've chosen that one spot, 1075. I'd probably come a lot lower than that. Probably going to the 25s, even 50s on this one. We do have some Kiwi CPI data coming up quarter on quarter, maybe a little drop there as well. So perhaps there is an opportunity to see a move back up into these recent highs. So showing, yeah, both Aussie Kiwi were falling due to the Chinese GDP data release. Yeah. I'm surprised Chinese GDP data actually came out the way. I'm not surprised, actually, because Chinese GDP, if you actually read into it, came in higher than previous, from 4.5% to 6.3%. So, see you later, Roy. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, I'm going to be heading off in a couple of minutes too. But yeah, Aussie Kiwi, interesting one to have a little look at, Vincent. What I would do is probably follow a little bit of trend analysis here. Look for the weekly to close like that. If it closed bullish, if you get your 20, your 50 cross as well, all those kind of visual representations of price change in trend could really, help you make any kind of decision there on what you want to do with Aussie Kiwi. Checking out the VIX index. Last week, we did see a little bit of a spike in the VIX index. I think it was early last week. What day are we on, actually? We're on the 18th now. It might have been the week before. Yeah, it was the week before. Had a bit of a spike up. Last week, that kind of faded. But we're now back down in the lows again on the VIX, which is an area of interest. I'm just keeping a little keen eye over there to see what happens. What we don't want to see is, if we're dollar weak at the moment, we don't particularly want to see a big spike up again here. To be honest, we want to be looking to see maybe the VIX continue to trade a little bit lower. Perhaps, back down into sort of this area here, 1240s. I think if we get anywhere near these lows of 1050, it's going to be very, very interesting. To be honest, I think there would be quite an interesting long in and around that low by traders looking to trade the VIX. So I'd be interested in seeing what happens. I think the VIX could probably trade a little lower at the moment. Let's look at the S&P 500. I know we do have some earnings coming out, don't we, this week? S&P 500 still making its way to the upside. We're closing in on this area now, aren't we? That 45 sort of 100 area. Just this sort of spike higher. Just from a technical analysis point of view, obviously big sales came in there that drove the market lower. Are we going to tap into this zone again to see another big move? You know, just something to be mindful of and consider. Okay. All right, guys. Any last questions before I leave it then? Just going to give him a chance to finish the coffee. Dollar is forming a double bottom on the H4, which might be good for a pullback. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, I think you've got double bottoms, double top patterns. I think the best area to look for those are at key areas of support and resistance. Looking left, we are kind of, I guess we're at 99.50, and price does like those kind of whole and sort of quarterly middle numbers as well. So yeah, potentially. I just don't see what we're seeing at the moment, I guess, is any kind of rally in the dollar's been met with some selling, isn't it? And you know, you've got CPI coming in lower recently. What did we get today? We had retail sales even dropping lower. So are we expecting the Fed to really go again? Probably not at this current moment in time. Let's have a quick look at the Fed Watch tool. Yeah, so we've got 97.3% that. Hang on, mate. That's not what I want. Yeah, so on the 26th of July is when we've got the next meeting, right? That's next week. 26th of July, yeah. So there is actually a 97.3% chance that they move again. So the market pricing in a pricing in heavily the fact that we could see another rate hike at the moment, which is interesting. Only 2.7% reckon that they'll hold. We'll see what happens. Dollar going negative. Right, guys, I'm going to call it there. Just to give a little recap, my favorite charts at the moment, Aussie US dollar. Keep an eye on your VIX index. I also really like gold at the moment. Gold is definitely one to watch, where we're seeing a bit of movement in the market. Thank you for joining me today. I know it's a little bit of a shorter one than usual, but I've got to shoot off. But thank you for joining me again. Thanks for all the comments, questions. I'll be back on Thursday. We'll do a long one on Thursday. We'll do a good hour on Thursday, and we'll break down some markets. And yeah, thank you for joining me, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you in a video tomorrow. Cheers.